Welcome to the Deep Dive. Okay, so you've brought us a really interesting piece today. It's excerpts from an article, Lothlórien, Grief and Golden Wood.
That's right.
And we're using this as our guide, basically, into one specific chapter of the Fellowship of the Ring. The one right after, well, everything goes wrong. The Lothlórien chapter.
And it's such a stark contrast, isn't it? If you think about the chapter just before the Bridge of Khazad-dûm, I mean, that's just this intense plunge into darkness, into loss.
Yeah.
And the article really points out how Lothlórien is set up as, well, almost the polar opposite. It's like stepping into this soft, kind of timeless light.
But it's not totally straightforward, is it?
Yeah.
The article mentions there's still this layer of mystery, maybe even a little bit of unease.
Mm-hmm.
What really jumps out, though, is how the source describes it. Like this rare thing in fantasy, a sacred space, where grief isn't just, brushed off. It's actually held reverently.
Yeah, held. That's a good word for it. It's where sorrow and this incredible beauty sort of meet.
So our mission here for this deep dive is to really unpack why this place, this chapter, is so significant based on the material you've given us.
Exactly. It's a real turning point in the story.
All right, then. Let's step into the Golden Wood.
Okay, so right after Khazad-dûm, I mean, the sheer shock and devastation. The article makes a really strong point about how this chapter starts. It's not with, another chase scene or a big fight. It's
silence.
That hit me too. After something so huge, you'd maybe expect immediate, frantic action. But no, the source focuses right in on the quiet. It talks about the Fellowship just being shattered, Frodo stunned, Aragorn carrying this immense weight.
Gimli just weeping openly.
Yeah.
And the article really hammers this home. Tolkien makes a conscious decision here. He lets that grief, that shock just sit there, linger. There's no quick fix, no convenient battle to distract them. They just walk slowly, heavily, just crushed by it all. It feels like such a necessary pause, emotionally.
Yeah.
The source argues that this change of pace, this rhythm shift, is vital. Like the Fellowship just isn't ready for the next thing. They need this space.
They absolutely do. They need time to just exist in that grief for a moment, to start processing. And the story gives them that.
And that pause, that slow walk, leads them eventually to the edge of Lothlórien.
Right. And the article paints it as this threshold, like stepping into somewhere almost, outside the rest of Middle-earth, this ancient elven haven, Galadriel's realm.
How does the piece describe Lothlórien itself? It sounds almost unreal.
It leans heavily on the senses, like a dream, but solid, leaves shimmering gold, not just green. The air feels different, like time is suspended.
Yeah.
It's a living forest, definitely, but you feel this deep, ancient magic, elven care shaping it.
And then there's that whole business with time, or, the lack of time flowing normally. The article quotes Legolas, doesn't it?
Yeah, the land where nothing changes and nothing ages. And the analysis in the source, it digs into that. It's not just a cool detail, it's symbolic. It represents this idea of Arda, the world as it could have been. Before all the decay, the corruption set in.
Like an echo of paradise?
Sort of, yeah. A glimpse. And in this timeless bubble, the Fellowship finds this temporary, almost fragile peace, even with their hearts still aching.
Which, brings us to maybe the most memorable part of the chapter, meeting Galadriel. The source material describes her in this really fascinating way, like she inspires awe, but also this hint of dread at the same time.
Yeah, it's a really complex reaction they have. And the article points out her power isn't, it's not showy. She doesn't write in casting spells or anything. Her presence is felt internally. The article says she speaks like into their hearts, not just their ears. Each one of them feels her presence deep down in their soul.
Wow. That sounds incredibly powerful and maybe a bit unnerving, like she sees right through you.
Exactly. That's part of it. The article frames her as embodying both wisdom and temptation. And her interaction, it's not just about giving comfort. There's a subtle testing going on, a silent challenge. She sees their burdens, their fears instantly, and the article suggests that's what feels so unsettling to them.
So even though the famous mirror scene comes later, the article is saying this first meeting is where she starts that process, planting seeds of introspection.
Yes, precisely. It describes this as the start. She's not offering easy answers or, just patting them on the back. What she offers is this kind of clarity, the clarity that comes from living an incredibly long time, seeing hope and despair cycle over and over.
Like a gentle nudge toward looking inward.
A gentle but firm one, towards self-examination.
And then there's this other really moving thread. The article picks up on how Lothlórien, unexpectedly, becomes the place where that ancient grudge between elves and dwarves starts to, well, to thaw.
Oh, this is such a beautiful part and so important. You have Gimli, who's, remember, heartbroken over Gandalf, and he comes in with all this ingrained suspicion of elves, expecting judgment, maybe scorn.
Yeah, totally wary.
But when he actually stands before Galadriel, the source says she meets him with this incredible grace, kindness. Not the arrogance he might have expected. She speaks directly to him, kindly.
That must have just stopped him in his tracks, seeing this powerful elf queen respond with empathy.
It seems like it did. The article suggests it's this moment where, maybe for the first time, Gimli sees elves not just as these aloof, immortal beings, but as, well, as people who also know loss, who understand sorrow.
A shared vulnerability across that huge historical divide.
Exactly.
And the article positions this interaction, Gimli and Galadriel, as the quiet beginning of that amazing friendship between Gimli and Legolas.
That's the argument, yeah. The source says the foundation isn't forged in battle. Not yet, anyway. It's laid right here, in this moment of shared grief, this unexpected respect, all sort of mediated by Galadriel's presence and wisdom.
Wow. Friendship born from sorrow and grace.
It really underscores why the article argues this chapter is just so critical in the book. You know, even if adaptations...
Like Peter Jackson movies, yeah.
Right. They tend to shorten this part. They cut some of that stillness, that meditative quality, probably for pacing.
Understandable, maybe, but you lose something.
You do. In the book, this pause feels essential. The article calls it the eye of the storm, a necessary breath between these incredibly intense trials.
A glimpse of Middle-earth without the shadow.
Yeah, exactly. This pure, untouched beauty. The source even calls it Tolkien's vision of Eden. Beautiful, yes, but also fragile, fleeting, destined to fade.
So the main takeaway from the source material here, it isn't really about advancing the plot, is it? It seems much more internal, human, maybe elvish, I don't know.
I think so. It's about that idea that beauty and sorrow aren't like opposites fighting each other.
They're intertwined.
Yes, intertwined. The article really leans into this union, and it argues that it's right here in this sacred pause surrounded by beauty that acknowledges sorrow. The fellowship actually starts to heal, to mend.
It really does feel like a chapter where the focus just shifts entirely inward, onto the characters' hearts, you know, slowly starting to stitch themselves back together after being ripped apart. It's such a powerful reminder, isn't it? That even when the road ahead looks impossibly dark, there are, or maybe there need to be, these spaces, whether they're real places or just moments we find.
Yeah, moments in time.
Where we're allowed to grieve, to heal, and maybe, just maybe, to grow from it.
That really captures the essence of what the source material is exploring here. Lothlórien is so much more than a location. It's presented as this vital moment, a space for healing, where this challenging kind of grace meets profound sorrow, and where these unexpected connections can quietly begin.
It makes a really strong case, doesn't it? That this chapter shows us how necessary it is to find or make those sacred spaces. Could be a place, could be a moment, maybe just in our own heads where we can actually process loss. Where we let ourselves feel the sorrow, but maybe also find beauty alongside it, or even find the potential for growth. And this idea that beauty and sorrow can coexist, that they might even help us mend. What does that idea mean for you?